Go with a home team.
Good morning. Welcome in. The SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Mississippi Ag. Mississippi Ag for your next John Deere tractor or John Deere lawnmower. 2 locations in the metro area, Canton and Pearl. 16 total. John Deere, America's tractor. Of course, it's lawn mowing season 2. Zero turn or otherwise, John Deere lawnmowers, John Deere tractors, Mississippi Ag, Canton and Pearl. Want to welcome you in. We'll welcome in Ryan Fowler here in just a second. Bama Insider, Roll Tide. He'll hang out with us on the Modelo guest line. Hope you're doing well. This is ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Hey, Mother's Day is this weekend, and LaFleur Interiors has you taken care of. They're located I-55 North by Kroger. Great store shop. They're doing grab and go. It's this simple. Grab and go floral arrangements at LaFleur Interiors on Saturday, and they're also going to have beer and Bloody Marys. So, guys, Mother's Day this weekend, it can take you 1 minute or 5 to 10 minutes if you want to hang out a little bit. But LaFleur Interior has you covered, and they have grab and go floral arrangements. Again, I-55 North, right by Kroger in Jackson. LaFleur Interiors. Welcome in. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. And we've got a good show lined up for you today. We'll go with Ryan Fowler here in just a second. Then we'll bring on Steve Palazzolo at 8:30. Pro Football Focus, PFF.com, and continue our discussion around Aaron Rodgers in the NFL. We'll go to the Modelo guest line. Welcome in Ryan Fowler, 109 The Game, T-Town. He joins us on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
Bo, I've got a big question, man. Why do you let the janitor talk on your show? I heard him talking about Walmart and Alabama apparel a couple of minutes ago. Did you let the guy that was sweeping the floor get on the mic? Is that what you were doing?
Oh, man. So you were listening in the second segment when my esteemed executive producer dropped Walmart in Alabama.
I'm just having some fun.
To be fair,
I'm just having some fun. It is a bad logo at Walmart. That Walmart logo is like the worst of all time.
All right, look, you've got a lot of stroke. All right, you're an Alabama insider. You have a great show in Tuscaloosa. Why can you not get that logo off the shelves, so to speak, Ryan Fowler?
I have absolutely no clue. I guess it's because it's probably somewhere there's a pay deal that somebody's going to make a lot of money, but it is it's bad. I mean, it is really, really bad. And I'll tell you the crazy part is the people who buy those jerseys, and there'll be like some kind of Forrest Gump number or, like 41. It's like, what? And literally like I could send you a photo right now of a guy that's got it on his Facebook account, and he's so proud of that $22 jersey. Like it's like nothing official.
Oh no!
But,
oh no!
Yeah,
no.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'm going to send it to you just where you can get a good laugh out of it. But it's like you go there, you'd rather not have the jersey. Just go T-shirt if you've got to go to the Auburn, the Walmart logo for the University of Alabama.
Oh my goodness, Ryan Fowler, Tuscaloosa Sports Talk Radio on the Modelo guest line. Can you? All right, let me ask you this: where's the go-to place in T-Town to get good quality Crimson Tide merch?
Well, there's a couple of places that it's all facilitated back to the University Dollar, but they've got a big supply store. It's generally where I think a lot of people get the nicer apparel. There's a place called the Locker Room. Ooh. That's pretty top notch with some of their higher end stuff. We're talking $100 for a shirt type polo type Alabama thing. If you want to go good, and I heard you guys talking about the academy. I mean, you can go there and you can get quality Nike stuff for the Alabama. But I tell you what's always funny is when you walk into chain stores here in Tuscaloosa, and I'm sure it's probably the same way in Oxford, and it's probably the same way in Starkville. You walk in and they've got a little small opponents section. Auburn's got a little section in Tuscaloosa.
No, they don't.
It's always kind of – they do. Yes.
What?
Yes. Yep.
I don't think Starkville and Oxford do that.
You would not believe the amount of Auburn fans who live in Tuscaloosa. It'll blow your mind. It will blow your mind. And I think they're just kids that were rebellion of their parents, that they raised them. You've got these kids that, you say eat this, no, they say no way, and it's simply because of their parents told them to do it. Go clean your room. No, I'm not going to clean my room. So it's those kids, they develop into being Auburn fans.
So I got it.
There's quite a few of them here in Tuscaloosa. And there's just enough who call in. And, we actually aggravate them quite a bit.
I'm sure you do.
Brian.
You're a contrarian.
Well, we call Brian Harsin, and I've told you this on the show. We call him Coach Wikipedia. And the reason why we call him – yeah. I mean, there's a name, there's a Twitter account that's already developed. The reason why is there was actually a couple of Auburn people who called in because they thought we were playing a joke when the Bryan Harsin news began to break. We threw out the name, Bryan Harsin. They had no clue. For that 24-hour period, Wikipedia was the number one website in the state of Alabama because nobody knew who Bryan Harsin was from the Auburn perspective. Yeah, I mean, you and I knew him because he was at Arkansas State. He went to Boise State. But so now we call him Coach Wikipedia. And so we've kind of talked about – like, that's what we call him. I mean, it's kind of like it's caught on. And think about him following Nick Saban. Nick Saban walks into a living room. He's able to say, hey, look at the NFL. Look at the chances of winning a championship. Look at all these facilities. Auburn has just now got a football-only facility or building a football-only facility. I think
I saw that.
Schools in the SEC. Yeah, and I mean, they're proud of it. I mean, they are, proud of it. Once it gets built, it'll probably be 5 years behind. But anyway, could you imagine Coach Wikipedia following Nick Saban on the day after? Nick Saban makes the in-home visit to the 5-star, and then here comes Bryan Harsin in, and it's like, who are you? Tell me who you're – oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Oh, man.
So, anyway.
Oh, man.
Coach Wikipedia, I want it to stick, man. You got to use it.
Okay. Coach Wikipedia / War Damn Eagle.
Coach
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Ryan Fowler, Bama Insider, 109 The Game, Tuscaloosa. He joins us on the Modelo guest line. Shots fired at both the Walmart Alabama logo and Coach Wikipedia early in the interview this morning. And can't wait to see what shakes out over the next 15 minutes with Ryan. Now, I got to throw this out to you. Did you hear about the Jimbo Fisher audio and how he said that they are going to beat Bama and Saban eventually?
And just take over, right? I mean, we're watching out for Texas A&M. Haven't we heard this before coming out of not Jimbo Fisher, but out of Texas A&M? Haven't we heard this? Remember when they started out and I think they were undefeated, or I can't remember. They came in and Alabama just absolutely just beat them down. I don't know what it is. I guess you've got to convince yourself. It's kind of like a fighter knowing that you're going to get punched in the mouth with an uppercut. You got to convince yourself that you belong in the same ring. And I think that's what these coaches do because they've got to be able to tell their fan base because that's what he's doing, right? He's walking into a booster club and he's got to convince those individuals that we have a chance and we need you to write that check. We need you to buy those season tickets. We need you to buy and sponsor our program, buy our, apparel, support our program. Because think about what he would have really said, what was really on his mind. Hey, we're probably not going to be able to beat Alabama. We're not going to be able to compete with Nick Saban. Then your fan base says, okay, well, they disengage. They just check out a little bit. So you've got to be able to almost talk yourself into the fight. It's something that we'll use today. I mean, I've already got probably 30 text messages about it. Do you see what Jimbo said? Yeah, I mean, but when will these coaches ever learn that inside of a fan-friendly event, it's going to be a hot mic somewhere. Somebody's going to record it, and it's going to get out, and it did with his guy.
Ryan Fowler, 109 The Game, Tuscaloosa, joining us on the Modelo guest line, talking SEC West, Saban, and the Bama dominance, and who could be coming after the the dude, the king, the crown, so to speak. I'm not even sure anybody's position.
New England Patriots have a pretty good chance at Alabama this year, I think.
Oh, goodness. All right, so let's drop the audio. This is Jimbo Fisher talking about Bama and Saban.
We coach together. If you don't have somebody to shoot at, you don't get out of bed every day. And then eventually that'll be us. And eventually that'll be us. I don't mean that. I respect for everything they do and how they do it. But we can do it just as good and be just as good and better, and we will. And that's what our goal is and what I want. So we're gonna get it done.
Are you nervous?
Keep in mind, okay. Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I'll be able to sleep for the next 3 or 4 days, but no, it's when you look at Texas A&M, they've spent $525 million to keep up with Alabama, with an investment of the coach, the 10-year, $75 million deal, and then I think another $450 on renovating their stadium. So they spent this money to keep up with Alabama, and those people that he's talking to are the same people that he asked to write those checks, that the athletic department said, hey, we're going to build this. Now, listen, money in Jackson, Mississippi, and money in Tuscaloosa doesn't have the same meaning as money in, the oil fields out there. I mean, they could just leave it on for the rest of the night, and they could pay that $525 million probably a lot easier than where we would all be trying to, scrabble up our pennies and try to put that in. But, hey, Jimbo's got to motivate his crowd, man. I mean, he's got to motivate his crowd. And I'm so tired of saying that Texas A&M is going to – because I'm actually a believer that Texas A&M is set up, money, resources, natural recruiting base. But I keep having egg on my face because they keep underachieving. So it's like maybe it's time for Texas A&M to be a part of the conversation.
You couldn't even say that with a straight face. Ryan Fowler, 109 The Game, Tuscaloosa, on the Modelo guest line. Let's switch gears. Now, this is going to be interesting. You got 3 quarterbacks in the league that are going to have an opportunity to hang around. Tua at Miami, Jalen Hurts with the Eagles, and Mac Jones with the Patriots. The numbers tell us they'll either go 0 for 3 or 2 for 3 won't pan out. What if we're sitting here 2 years from now and those guys don't have any staying power in the NFL? What do you think that says, and how does that look, Ryan?
Wow. You know what? That's a great question because, that's the one area that Nick Saban has not been able to produce that player that at that position. I mean, he's got it at long snapper. I think he's got 3 long snappers currently playing in the National Football League. He's got a punter in J.K. Scott. I mean, we could go through all the positions. I don't guess he has a kicker, but that may change here in the next couple of years. But you look at it, quarterback is that high-profile position. Look at what Mississippi State is able to gain from Dak Prescott being the starting quarterback in Dallas, and the brand, the benefit of that. When they're able to walk in and Mike Leach walks in, he says, hey, you can do it. You can accomplish big things. Look at this. I mean, so Nick Saban needs that quarterback. Let's say that he goes 0 for 3. Let's say that these guys, because we've heard rumors down in South Beach that some of the players are not happy with Tua, and they don't think that he can be an elite quarterback. Now, we had a guy on our show a couple of days ago that said pretty much the opposite, that some of those rumblings, the anonymous player report, that was actually guys that they've been able to get rid of. So he didn't really buy into as much of it, maybe as some of us. But from an outsider reading that was very concerning, saying that, hey, Tua doesn't have the elite ability in the NFL. He was a great college quarterback. You look at Jalen, even though Alabama kind of claims him, and if he has success, people will give credit to Oklahoma. If he has failure, they'll put it on Nick Saban. So then
I agree with that. I do.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Not that I ever feel sorry for Bama football and Saban, but
And you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
No, not with all those rings y'all are carrying around, that hardware and so on. But, no, I think you're right there, Ron, that if he has success, they'll tie it to Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley. If he doesn't, there will be a combo there. But, yeah, they'll make sure to add Bama to the conversation because they're the big bad Darth Vader who always wins. Yeah, fair enough.
But to go back to your comment, and this is something that I'm actually making I've got my legal pad here that I make my notes. I think that's one that I need to come back to because what if we're talking about three quarterbacks that don't make it? That Tua is a bust in Miami. Mac Jones, a first rounder, is a bust in New England. What if Jalen Hurts doesn't work out in Philadelphia? Then you're sitting there going 0 for 3. Then do you have enough time to counter that? Because you could use that on the recruiting trail, right? I mean, you could be able to say, okay, you go there as a running back, you go there as a linebacker, you go there as a wide receiver, but the quarterback, and so it's all about the position. I mean, I think we're now as quarterback heavy as we've ever been. If you don't have an elite quarterback, I don't think you can play this game at the high level and compete for a college football playoff spot unless you have the elite arm talent.
Out of the three, we're visiting with Ryan Fowler, 109 The Game, Tuscaloosa, Dreamland Insider, Roll Tide, dude, Insider too. He joins us on the Modelo guest line, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Show is brought to you by Ace Bolt and Screw, powered by DeWalt Tools. Out of the three, if you had to bet $100 on who is still starting in the NFL in 4 years, who would you go with? Tua, Hurts, or Mac Jones?
All right, so remember, I'm not a big Jalen Hurts guy because I think he's a one-rate quarterback. Now, has he improved as a passer? Yeah, I think he's got better, but where he was at was not great. I think the NFL will solve the Jalen Hurts riddle, and I think they did that last year. What was he, like 1-4 as a starting quarterback? Now, I know Philadelphia didn't have a lot of things around him. I would put him dead last. That's just where I look at Jalen Hurts. That's me as an evaluator. Tua Tagovailoa, as you know, I was a huge fan of him. Watched him, develop. I was one of the first who jumped on and said, "Hey, this guy's going to take Jalen's job," and nobody believed me. And man, that was like the roughest year in my radio business because people thought I was just stirring it up, and it was just simply because I trusted my eyes of watching Tua Tagovailoa throw the football. But let me go back. Mac Jones, only a 17-game sample size. I think what he does fits better with the NFL. Take what the defense will give you, find that weakness. There's always something there. As a quarterback, you've got to be able to dissect that. You've got to be able to find those areas that you take advantage of. If you're running a cover 2, a cover 3, if you're bringing everybody, there's somewhere that you can find success on that football field. It's your job as a quarterback. That's where I think Mac Jones has it. And you hear the Tom Brady. We had a New England reporter up, Mike Reese, yesterday on the show, 21 years of covering the Patriots. And we had Ryan Leaf on. And Ryan Leaf said, this guy is better than Tom Brady was at this point. Now, that's not saying that he's going to be the greatest of all time. Nobody's saying that. But I think they play the game in the same way. Tom Brady, if you looked at his measurables and you took off the name, there's not a lot of elite there. I mean, the arm talent's probably not in the upper, 10% of all quarterbacks. But where he beats you is the same way that Mac Jones beats you, is he studies enough that he can find that weakness in your defense. Okay. That's how Mac Jones plays that.
So you're going with Mac Jones out of the three. All right.
I would go with Mac Jones.
Okay.
Because I just think his style of play sets up for the NFL.
All right. Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone. Ryan Fowler, 109 The Game in T-Town, Tuscaloosa, joins us, Roll Tide Insider on the Modelo guest line. I keep going back to this like a decade ago or whenever it was, Ron, when Tim Tebow looked at his quarterback coach at Denver and he said, everybody's covered. And his QB coach looked at him and said, this is the NFL. And so it's going to be fascinating because Tua, Hurts, and Mac Jones had the benefit of guys running wide open. Yet a Dak Prescott, a Drew Brees at Purdue, a a Matt Ryan at Boston College, they're used to guys not being covered and having to throw it in a small space, even at the collegiate Eli Manning, even at the collegiate level. And I think that's why guys from mid-tier programs work, because it's not new. But I'll never forget that. Tebow walks out, goes through some practices, and looks around and goes, everybody's covered. And they were like, this isn't Florida. This isn't guys just running away from inferior talent. So it's going to be awesome to see. Can Mac make it? Can Tua make it? Can Hurts make it? Or can, as you and I were discussing, can one of the three make it? Yeah, we've got a minute here.
Yeah. All right, so just
Ryan Fowler on the Out of Bounds Show, Roll Tide Insider. Go ahead.
If you guys want to break, I'll come back and we can talk more Alabama. We haven't even talked about basketball. We're taking over in that sport too.
Yeah, but
90%
of your fan base doesn't even know who the head basketball coach is.
He wants to talk basketball on your show because he doesn't have time to talk it on his
show.
That's
true.
That's right.
Ryan,
right.
Real quick. So everybody's high on Bryce Young, and I know that eventually you think it has to snap, but are we looking at a new streak of kind of, as you said, where because of the offense Alabama is now going to run, and we think they'll still run it under Bill O'Brien, is every time an Alabama quarterback going to come out of college, they're now going to kind of just get drafted, a la maybe the way we've done with Ohio State and USC when they were rolling, regardless of what their individual talent may be? This is the new kind of model for Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide?
No, you know what? I think that's a good comment. I think that's fair. Yeah, when you look at it and you see, as we've talked about, they strike out on quarterbacks all the time. It's the position that they miss on so many times in the NFL. And I think you do get some of what Bo was talking about a couple of minutes ago. When you play in with the best offensive line, you're playing with a Doak Walker, a winner, and the Heisman winning wide receiver. You're going to be good. And so I think that you get a lot of the Brownies points, and you get a lot of the praise for just kind of orchestrating the offense. But this is, I think, where we're going to be with Nick Saban. And, you look at 10 guys, 8 of those guys out of the NFL draft were on the offensive side of the football. Who would have thought Nick Saban would at least tie the record for Miami, break the 1960s record with 8 players in 2 rounds?
Incredible.
But he would do it on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah.
He has totally evolved where that's the stop. But he asked about 5 years ago, he stood up and he said, is this where we want to go with football? Hey, is this where we want to go? And everybody said yes. And he's now designed that system where it's almost unstoppable on the offense.
Ryan Fowler on the Out of Bounds Show. Ryan, I got 20 seconds. Do you have any kind of Alabama or Roll Tide tattoo?
No, Lord, no.
Okay.
No.
I was just checking.
No.
All right.
No, I'm not really. I'm not against tattoos, but I don't have them.
Okay. And you're still taking me to lunch.
But Roll Tide anyway.
Roll Tide anyway. And you're still taking me to lunch at Dreamland.
I've heard you're coming over for like 6 years. I'll believe it when Bo Bounds rolls into Tuscaloosa.
I'm coming, brother. Be good, okay?
Have a great day, man. Thank you.
See ya. Ryan Fowler, 109 The Game. Tuscaloosa on the Modelo guest line. Hour number 2 coming up. Steve Palazzolo, Pro Football Focus, the latest out of Green Bay. Is it a divorce? Can they get back together? Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Palazzolo, 8:30. Back in a sec.